This spot, we're going to be checking out the Mezco Toyz 1/12 Collective, the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Superman. Just like the Batman we had looked at before, Superman comes with a Batman v Superman display stand and an adjustable neck that attaches to the top here. It hinges in both the bottom, the mid, the top, as well as it has a hinge at the waist clip that can also open and close and house around Superman's waist. Now, sitting in on Superman's waist, you have to kind of move the cape out of the way. And it clamps, but it doesn't do the greatest of jobs of clamping. And sometimes, a lot of times, when I'm displaying it, the Superman figure kind of wants to slide out of the clip altogether. I wish they had actually accommodated some other way of utilizing a clip rather than not the clear default clip. I just don't find that they work all that well when it comes to holding the figures in place. Of course, if you've seen the Batman, you also know that it comes with this half-moon clip as well that attaches to the top here. Like that. And then it has all these extra, I find them overly busy, all these extra little clips. Now these just peg into the top portion here. And then the end portion is supposed to house Superman's cape. They clamp into place. To be honest, I don't like them one bit. It's supposed to give Superman a little bit more of a levitating pose. I honestly think they're a little bit ugly because from the back, it's just so much stuff going on that I find it really detracts from the Superman. Granted, you're going to be looking at it from the front, but there's so much extra stuff on the back by utilizing these extra clips. I honestly don't think that they're all that great. They do hinge, of course, because they do have the wire frame. But overall, it's something I'm just willing to pass on, and if anything, I only really make use of the waist clip as my go-to. Though, for the interest of fairness, I actually did take the time and peg in the clip, or attach the clip into place. I'll show you how it basically comes together. Pegging it, obviously going the opposite way. I know I pegged it in the front in the beginning of this review, but pegging it the opposite way, and then these little clips here attached to the top portions of his cape. It's an ugly sight to say, and I mean, even though you can hinge these because they are all wire framed, you can just kind of bend and manipulate them to any which way that you want. Again, I find them completely ugly and unnecessary. It gives you a little bit of a dynamic pose to the figure, sure, granted, but I just find it's way excessively complicated and downright ugly, to be honest. So getting a better look here at Superman, overall, it's not bad. The costume itself is pretty good from the front. From the back, however, is one of the biggest glaring issues I have with the figure, and that's the color of his cape. His cape is this orangey red color, completely off. I wonder what went through the mindset of Mezco when they ended up opting for this color of cape and rather not something darker. Even not to say that his boots are the correct color, because the boots really, all the red color should be really darker, but at least if the cape was a little closer to the coloring of the boots. Instead, what we end up getting is this bright, I dare almost say neon or orangey red. It's far too bright and stark, I think, for this particular figure. Getting a look at his face, it's actually one of the better aspects to the figure. The flesh tone, while I think could have had a little bit of work added to it, the sculpt is pretty good. I'm not sure why he has such the rosier complexion around his nose area. I feel like the flesh color could be a little bit more enhanced. It comes across just a little bit on the pale side to me. Now, this is actually one of 3 possibilities for displaying Superman here. His default look is the one that comes out of the package with just a closed mouth, fairly heroic looking face sculpt. And then he also has one that has a slightly open mouth. Other than that, it's really not that much different from the one that he currently is wearing. Part of me thinks that the head here reads a little bit wider than the one that's already in the socket. But I guess if you are having him posed with Batman, it might be a better face sculpt to go with. Or what you can also do too, if you want to go a little bit more to the extreme, Superman also has a third head that has the heat vision eyes. A nice touch. I do like this one a lot. Might even end up going with this route when displaying Superman. Either or though, if you are looking to change out the head, you just go ahead and grab the neck section here and just wiggle the head. It's very, very easy to pop it off the ball joint. In fact, I actually thought it was going to be more difficult to take off, but no, not actually a problem at all. You can see too that his head is on a complete ball joint, so you get a full rotation there. But then he also has a secondary ball joint that actually stems at the base of the neck here. Looking at the rest of the body, the costume looks pretty good. One big problem I had with the Mezco toys, and I really don't want to nitpick to death this line, but to be honest, I'm actually not really sold on the 112 figures just yet. Well, I do feel like the costume turned out pretty good. The raised Superman emblem. Even the texture work on the costume is top notch. I find the scale seems off. Literally, I find the scaling on the costume here is too big for the scale of the actual figure. For the size of the figure, the scale here, and don't get me wrong, the texture is nice, but I feel like it should also be smaller. And it's almost comparing it to maybe even like the Hot Toys Superman. The texture here is actually about the same size as a figure that's 12 inches tall. So that throws me off. That jars my look of the figure just a little bit. I guess one also thing that I've noticed too, and this is now only the second figure that I've picked up that's of the 112, is the proportions of the figure. They just come across, they read like a little stocky to me. Short legs, really broad torso, and while you could say it is Superman after all, he should have a broad torso, he just comes across a little on the stumpy side in all honesty. Some nice texture work here also in the boots, the undersides of his feet. He has really long feet, long Superman feet. But it's, I don't know, it's the proportion that's killing it for me. I feel like his legs should be a little longer, or his torso shouldn't be as broad. It throws a lot off on the figure for me. I like the paintwork here also on the sides, the gold around his belt, and the slightly, I want to say like an aquamarine blue that's on the sides as well as on his gauntlets, which is accurate to the movie. The big thing I would say that the walk away I take from this figure is they do put a lot of care into the costumes. I'll give it that. But unfortunately, they put a lot of care into costumes in all honesty, on a frame that seems way off on the figure. Proportionally, he seems off. Proportionally, Batman also seemed off. But this is kind of a new category that Mezco is delving into. They're getting into a market that generally is either a 7-inch figure, you can go scale even further back, a 3 3/4 inch figure, a 7-inch figure, and then you start getting into the market of the high-end collectibles, which are the 12-inch figures and up. Mezco's thinking, okay, well, we'll do kind of a size in the middle, a high-end collectible at a smaller figure. High-end collectible, I would say, sure, I can see that the market that they're getting into is pretty good. I mean, the figures look like they're decent enough, but to be honest, in all honesty, I just don't like the body builds. The bodies seem off. Superman here especially seems really broad here, doesn't seem nearly enough longer here. It just seems like his thighs continue on all the way down to his ankles. Let's run through the Man of Steel's included accessories. Again, we've already looked at the 3 head options. Not really sure which one I would personally choose, but even like the defaulted head I think is a nice head sculpt. All 3 heads are pretty good. So he comes with 3 interchangeable heads. Also gets this Gotham City manhole cover, which is nicely detailed. There's the underside of it right there. It almost looks like it should be almost a display stand too, which it isn't ultimately. What you can also do too is you can separate it and you can have the Man of Steel, Superman, ripping the manhole cover in half. I'm not really sure how a manhole cover would rip like this, but kind of almost looks more like a cookie. And then you can just go ahead and slide the 2 back together again. The defaulted hands really don't give you any help when it comes to holding the manhole cover, but luckily he does come with some extra hands as well. Comes with the flat palm for the iconic Superman flying, and it comes with a couple of grabbing hands. Comes with 2 of those, another flying hand, and then he's got the grabbing hands that you can have him ripping apart the manhole cover. I will have to admit, though, the look is pretty cool by having him ripping apart the manhole cover. Again, just to do that, I've swapped out the defaulted hands to the grabbing hands that we looked at. One of the touches I do like, though, is that Mezco includes a 112 collective little Ziploc bag. So if you have any of the extra accessories that you're not using, case in point like the heads or some of the extra hands, you can throw them in the bag and keep them stored away. I guess there's a little area here, too, that you can write the character's name. In this case, Superman from Batman v Superman. So this is a nice little added touch I do like. For Superman's posability, we already looked at the head, we looked at the neck, let's look at the shoulders. Shoulders hinge out, looks like they're on ball joints here. Forward and back motion, a little tight here, I won't lie, a little on the tight restriction here. You get a rotation here in the bicep, double bend in the elbow, and a rotation all the way around on the hand. Upper torso, you get a ball joint here, as well as a secondary ball joint. Looks like there might be a secondary ball joint right at the base of his abdomen. A forward and back motion on the legs, you can get kind of a full splits going on here. Looks like he has a swivel on the top portion of his thigh. Double hinge on the knee, rotation right where the boot connects to the leg, as well as a ball joint in the foot. Many of you probably already know that I'm a big fan of Superman, so I want to like this figure, but in all honesty, I'm still not sold on the 112 collective figures from Mezco Toyz. There's something about, even though they have cool fabric, and the fact that they go the little extra mile by giving us fabric figures is a nice touch. The accessories are a nice touch as well. There's something about the proportion, though, that's just killing me. It's now the second figure that I've picked up, the first figure being Batman, now Superman. In all honesty, I'm not still sold on this line. If you do like this line, let me know down below, but I'd have to find a really good figure, I think, that would get me interested in collecting more of the 112 scale figures, or the 112 collective figures from Mezco Toyz. One big strike for me is also the color of his cape. I don't know why the coloring is as off as it is, but it should have certainly been a lot darker of a red instead of this orangey ketchup red that we ended up getting. Still, either way, if you guys like the Superman figure here and you are fans of 112 Collective, I mean, certainly there are collectors out there. I also picked this up from the folks over at Entertainment Earth. I'll put the link down below, so if you guys are interested in picking this up for yourself and adding this to the existing Batman figure that we already looked at here on this channel. Speaking of this channel as well, got tons of videos. Did you know that? Tons of videos. So if there's a certain Superman figure that you'd like to see reviewed, there's a good chance that I've already reviewed it. So by all means, check those playlists. And if you haven't already had a chance to subscribe to this channel, you're a subscribe button away from being from finding out when new videos here are hitting the block, and by block we mean YouTube. In the meantime, though, we were looking today at the Mezco Toyz. This is the 112 Collective Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. This was Superman. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.